Think we're back to podcasting now.
Back to podcasting after what's been like 8 months,
Yeah,
8 month break.
it's been a
Too long. I've needed something to
clusterfuck of
do.
8 months.
I've needed something to do, but also had no time to do anything. So
That was the problem. That was
yeah,
the biggest issue. Is no time.
yeah.
We missed a lot. We'll do an episode where we just
Recap
recap.
everything because we
What?
missed movie wise. We missed Black Panther. We missed. I
Hey,
don't know
hey,
if we
hey! Black Adam.
we missed Black Adam in its epic wonders. What else did we miss? We missed a lot. Football's gone on. We missed the Super Bowl. We've
We
got a
missed
lot
the
to recap.
entire season. Free agency just happened.
Yeah.
Not
I
it.
have a lot of free agency notes already. I'm trying to keep up with it as they happen.
Yeah, there's some good ones there. But today, or right now,
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian season
Yep.
3, first 3 episodes.
Yep.
Season 2 was awesome.
Season one was awesome.
And I didn't know where we were going after season 2. So I was a little worried about it. Out of the gate, season 3 is the best one so far. It's not even close.
As far as out of the gate goes, yeah, first 3 episodes. Um, a lot more action, a lot more chaos. I'm in for it.
The flight scenes.
Yeah.
In the first episode, you had them fighting that big turtle crocodile thing on the
Giant
beach.
alligator.
Yeah. And then he leaves and goes to the other planet, and those guys chase him off after talking to Apollo Creed. And
His rogue droids.
yeah. And you had that whole sequence where he's just dodging in and out of asteroids
With the space pirates.
with space pirates. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, we had talked about it before. I don't know if we talked about it on here, but someone made the comment that the thing that makes Star Wars isn't necessarily just lightsabers or Jedis, but it's the sound.
Mm-hmm.
It's the sound of the
I had
ships
that in my
flying.
notes. I wasn't sure if it was you that I talked to about that or somebody else.
Yeah.
It was like, what
But
is the sound that you associate with Star Wars?
and it's when those ships are flying and shooting and all that's going on, that felt inherently Star Wars.
Yeah.
And those are probably the best flight scenes I've seen since the prequels.
Yeah. And they even kind of pay homage to the prequels.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. I
Through
mean, the
some of
ship
them.
alone, but
Yeah.
like that was great. And then to jump over into episode 3, though, sequence on the moon of Mandalore, wherever Bo-Katan's staying,
Mm-hmm.
where she's flying through all the valleys and cliffs and everything, taking out the TIE fighters that are chasing her.
Yeah. I think that was when they paid homage to like the prequels. She's like, oh, I've been flying through actually the prequels and the originals. Because she's like, oh, I've been flying through these since I was a kid. And that was to the prequels. And then the valley scene of her just flying through it.
Yeah, that was those two action sequences were better than anything we've seen
in the movies.
Well, not necessarily the movies, because they had some good ones in the prequels with Obi-Wan and Anakin flying through and doing all sorts of cool fighting. Plus, you're like competing with lightsaber battles, and nothing's beating Darth Maul.
You're also competing with budgets.
No, their budget's insane.
Yeah, but I still feel like nothing's ever going to be like movie budget on one of these TV shows.
I would be curious.
Well, I say that, and then like Lord of the Rings was like $100 million an episode. So
yeah, that was exactly that ridiculously high. Let me see. The Mandalorian budget. The series cost around $100 million to produce.
for the entire season.
At 8 episodes, that makes it about $12.5 million an episode. So a little bit cheaper than a movie.
Yeah, it's just crazy to think that's the budget for The Mandalorian,
And
and
then
Lord of the Rings had $100 million an episode. And the action sequences, as far as action, they're on par with each other.
oh yeah, Rise of Skywalker budget.
Was that probably 3 to 400 million?
275.
Okay, so that's close to three.
Yeah.
So double, almost triple
And,
the budget.
and then Ring of Power budget.
So that was what, 10 episodes at 100 million?
Jesus Christ, what were you spending this on? Catering?
I think it was all the makeup artists
Oh my god.
and the scenery, like the set.
In total, it was $465 million for those like 8 episodes or whatever it was.
Yeah. So I guess they had $500,000.
Oh, wait. This does not take into account the $250 million that Amazon spent just to buy the rights.
To purchase the rights. It's
This
crazy
was
to think how much
$700 million show that was fine.
Yeah. I always say, like, when someone asks me about it, I say the action was great. Just like the movies. When the action's there, the action's great. Then as soon as you go to the storyline, it's like, meh, it's all right. Did you finish it?
Yeah.
There was a good twist at the end. I enjoyed the twist.
I didn't see it coming.
I didn't either. I thought it was so many other people. And then when it's him, I was like, that guy.
I was like, okay. Like,
yeah.
Wish we
Maybe that's what the whole buildup was. I don't know.
Wish we could have gotten there faster. Because
Yeah.
I felt like the whole time they're going to be like, hey, this guy in the gray clothes.
That can't talk.
The guy. He's going to be the
Yeah.
guy. And the whole time, it's like, fuck you, it's Gandalf. And they're like, no,
He might be evil.
he might be evil. You're like, no, that's Gandalf. Like, he's friends with the hobbits already. It's Gandalf. They're like, I don't know. No, you're right, it's Gandalf.
$500 million later. All right. Yeah, it's Gandalf.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, sure.
But yeah, so in The Mandalorian, love the giant alligator. I love that we're going along the lines of the what's it called? The mythosaur. I'm glad that they're starting to incorporate that. Like
You
we saw
actually
it.
got to see it.
Yeah, or
I hope they bring it back.
It's eye and tusk. Well, so I looked it up because like we've seen it since the beginning because it's on his armor, but I've never actually known like what it was. I thought it was just like, I don't know, some giant animal that they consider to be like super strong, like their armor or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked it up. And apparently there was a guy named like the Great Mandalore or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He was like the Mandalorian Jesus. So he he used to ride those into like battle and stuff. And so I think that's the direction they're going. Originally, I thought, oh, they're not going to believe that he bathed in the living waters. So he's going to go back and eventually ride one. And they were like, oh, okay, he's Mandalorian again. But then he brought back the living waters. They're like, all right, you're Mandalorian again. I'm like, oh, well. I'm assuming that's where we're going, is we're going back to Mandalore, and that's how he's going to eventually.
I like how he just brought back a vial.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to expect the vial? Do you just...
Well, she poured it into the other living water that she had, and she's like, yeah, that's legit.
Still, it's like, which one of these holes do you smell out of? Try it.
Yeah.
Try it. I like that he still can't use the Darksaber because again, if somebody would ever commit to watching the Trek of Clone Wars,
and I saw a video earlier today where it showed Bo-Katan using it in Clone Wars. So using it in Clone Wars, and then she came and just after he struggled with it, just picked it up in wreck shape.
Yeah, she's like, sit down, little boy.
Yeah.
But again, whoever holds the Darksaber was a lightsaber given to the Mandalorians, and whoever holds that rules Mandalore. Like
Yeah.
that's the entire thing of it. That's why Bo-Katan wanted it. That's why she was going for it in the second season. And she explained that as much. But got Moff Gideon, he had it, lost it to the Bo Staff of Destiny, and now Mando has it. And then
Yep.
in the two Mandalorian episodes that were in Boba Fett, you saw him trying to learn how to use it, and they were like, "You're
Struggled
doing it
greatly
wrong."
the entire time.
Yeah, you're like, "No, that ain't it. Do less. No, do less.
Yeah.
The less you do, the more
The
you
more
do."
you do.
So, hop up. But so with those two things kind of in mind, do you think he rides the Mythosaur, or do you think Bo-Katan rides the Mythosaur to recreate Mandalore?
I think the direction they're going to go with it is he's going to ride the Mythosaur, but that's not going to mean he rules Mandalore. She's going to continue on with the dark saber and eventually like regain her throne because she
She
was
has
basically
to.
already royalty. They just no longer
Yeah.
observed her clan, and then now her family's temple, as we saw in the last episode, has been blown to smithereens. So she has no home.
Well,
So
it's
the
not that
way
they
I
no
see it
longer.
going,
It's not that they no longer like acknowledge her clan. Again, watch the damn cartoon because it's so good, especially like the last 3 to 4 seasons, especially the last one. And if you're a Darth Maul fan,
yeah,
fuck. But they went into Civil War and just fucked everything up for themselves. The
the
whole thing.
Mandalorians did.
Yes. And Darth Maul's in there and he kind of rules them for a little while. And that's where you see the Darth Maul Mando helmets. That's where that comes into play. And then Ahsoka comes in and fights Darth Maul. And they actually got Ray Park to come in and do the choreography. What is that? I don't know what that is. You keep holding it up. Do you have words? You have English? It's a ring pop? Lead with, hey, can I have this ring pop? You're holding it up like you're in Hunger Games and just won something.
Can't have a ring pop. It's not Friday.
I mean, if she has a ring pop, I feel like I could have a whiskey.
I mean, that's fair.
Yes, you can have a ring pop.
That is the child version of alcohol candy.
True shit. So, with all that happening, you're setting up Bo-Katan to have, or as you put it, Bo-Katan, to have a line into all this. But she can't take the saber unless she beats Mando in combat.
Right.
And she can't rule Mandalore
Without the dark saber.
unless she has a saber. So with all this shit going on, seeing Apollo Creed for half a second, not seeing Gina Carano show up,
Well,
which I like.
they wrote her off in one line of dialogue.
That's all it
So that
takes.
she was recruited by special forces after bringing in Moff Gideon. And I'm like,
And
oh, yep, oh, there she goes.
that was going to be her spinoff show.
Mm-hmm.
Was after defeating Moff Gideon, she went and did that and did like Rangers of the Republic or whatever, and she was going to be the Special Forces team. And then she,
Got all political.
like, you post one Nazi related thing on the Instagrams. So mild divergence into that. She finally ended up going on the Joe Rogan podcast, and you got to hear her kind of talk and explain herself and what happened and why she got canceled and everything. She's like, everyone talked to me like I, was such a hateful person and all this. It's like, not the case. You are, however, a little bit oblivious and very naive. She kind of reminds
real
me.
world around you.
Yeah, well, she kind of reminds me of most of your like extended family, not yours in particular, but everyone has like that cousin, uncle, brother-in-law that has a lot of political opinions, and when on social media, talks about them, and probably shouldn't.
Yeah, everyone's got that one or two family members.
Yeah, she kind of falls in line with that, except works for one of the biggest monopolies of entertainment companies on the planet. You
Yeah, that mouse
can't
don't
do
play.
both. Yeah, can't do both.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, congratulations. You saved yourself from earning probably a few $1 million, and you no longer get that show.
Yep. And you're probably not going to work for the mouse again for a very long time, if ever.
Probably not. However, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have both been fighting for it,
Yeah.
reportedly.
I mean,
So,
if you have two people on your side, those are the two people you'd want.
true. Really, I want Jon Favreau on my side for anything, up to
Yeah.
and including cooking.
Yeah. I hope he gets some more Marvel stuff. We kind of need him back.
And give him all of Star Wars. Give him and Dave Filoni all of Star Wars going
Yeah.
forward.
Or that. I like to see what
Kathleen
they can do with the
Kennedy
movie.
out and have them just be the Kevin Feige, be the James Gunn of just the Star Wars group.
Yeah. Did you see that Kevin Feige and I can't remember her name, but they both got their movies put up on the shelf for Star Wars?
Yeah, because he wanted a Star Wars one.
It was him and a woman. I can't remember her name.
It
They
was
both wanted a Star Wars movie, and they shelved both of them. I think they've shelved like all Star Wars movies in general going forward for a little while. And I wonder if it's because the shows are so successful. They're like, why don't we need a movie right now?
well, they haven't shelved Taika's yet. Because Taika has one,
True.
Kevin Feige had one, and Patty Jenkins, Wonder Woman,
Gotcha.
because she was going to have one about the pilots.
Oh yeah, I vaguely remember that.
And
I
there's
thought that was
somebody
gonna
else
be a
that's
show,
working on one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't heard. I heard they kind of pushed those off. I haven't heard anything specifically about Taika. I did hear somebody else was greenlit to get some Star Wars properties. A name of, consequence, but it escapes me right now. In fact, I'm going to do my research and see.
Yeah, you look that up. I'm gonna go through my couple of knocks so far through the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Not many knocks, and one hasn't come to fruition yet, so it's like a partial knock. IG-11 is the droid from the first season.
Speaking of Taika Waititi.
Yeah. Voiced by Taika Waititi. Episode 1, they try to bring him back. He immediately tries to attack Grogu. But he's like, I have to have him. He's the only droid I can trust, which doesn't really make sense because he just tried to kill the thing you're trying to protect. But I didn't think they should bring him back, and I still don't know if that's the game plan, since technically that's why they left, to go get his like motherboard or something like that. I feel like bringing back IG-11 is the same thing on a much smaller scale, but the same thing as like bringing back an Iron Man. His exit to the show was so epic and awesome that you don't need to bring him back.
Yeah, it just kind of undercuts the whole thing.
Yeah, because then if you're ever someone that like went through and watched it all and then they just bring him back, like bringing back a dead character, which I mean, I guess Marvel does it like every other movie, but I feel like it kind of undercuts the emotion and power to the death of IG-11 that was so epic that as soon as I started doing that, I'm like, But then now I don't even know if that's still the game plan.
Well, if it's not, you spinning your wheels
have
for
another
nothing.
droid now, like an R2D2 knockoff.
R5 actually. R5 was part of the rebellion.
Oh, okay.
So that
they got R5. Not good on ships. He's good on ships, not in ships.
No, if I remember correctly, he got blown off a ship once.
Well, he was like flailing around whenever Bo-Katan was flying. He kept getting knocked over.
Yeah, let me see if I can find the thing here that actually kind of says the connection. Also, I like how Bo-Katan's, just hobby is to sit in her giant throne like a bored teenager.
All day and just wait for guests. Nope, don't want to talk to that one.
She's like, oh shit, let me get my headband on. Yeah, and right now the only one that's set up for a Star Wars film is Taika.
Yeah, and after Love and Thunder, My, if he ended Marvel run on Ragnarok, Taika's up here. Love and Thunder brought him down a peg or two. I just,
Had he
I can't.
played, I understand it's the personality of Taika, and to go serious would wouldn't be Taika at all. Like he's still riding high because he has Love and Thunder and Jojo Rabbit,
Yeah,
and that movie is perfect in every way.
yeah.
But with a
But they had elements of seriousness
if
with
you
comedic draw.
if you played it with a little bit more tone of The Dark Knight, with that kind of fear of this villainous taking over the movie, let alone the whole plot, as opposed to I'm gonna pour a beer on an axe.
Yeah,
Then you have a better movie. But it was like a party movie with a badass villain in the corner, as opposed to being a badass villain movie with jokes in the corner.
yeah.
And had you reversed that, you had a better movie. So R5 is actually from the first Star Wars film. He was on the Jawa sand cruiser in the very original Star Wars,
Okay.
and it was the one that Uncle Owen originally tried to buy. I'll take the red one, and then it blew up. So they took R2D2 and C3PO instead, and then hijinks
Interesting.
ensued.
Yeah. I've heard that there are like 40 deep Easter eggs in every episode so far.
I'm
Some
looking
of
at
them go to like
20.
the books, some of them go to like the original movies, some of them go to there was like a like live action like role play game that like I guess like the Star Wars D&D,
Mm-hmm.
and there are Easter eggs being pulled from all of those things.
Yes, there is a ton on here, and obviously, and I'm just gonna put my boots on and start kicking a dead horse. A lot of it goes into the last seasons of the Clone Wars because all of that kind of ties into uh or 66 and all that
Yeah.
happening at the same time. But a lot of stuff ties into that.
Yeah. They bring up the Order 66 thing a lot, which I mean, it was, I guess, a pretty monumental moment.
Not a big deal.
Killing all the Jedi. All of them.
They have all sorts of goofy shit on here too.
Yeah. I watched a video earlier and it was kind of going into a lot of them, but it was started going into stuff that I was like, Jesus. Um, what did you think about the third episode and the lack of the Mandalorians? I saw someone call it the M Andor Lorian because it was so Andor esque.
It was so politically driven.
Yeah, it was politically driven. It was almost like spy espionage going against the New
So
Republic.
it's in the first and second seasons, you understand why they were trying to get Grogu because they were trying to see if they could clone and duplicate the Force.
Yeah,
And this dude is doing the cloning, which I feel like is playing a little bit of damage control for Rise of Skywalker. Of oh yeah, we cloned the Emperor. You're doing this the whole time. Nobody said anything
yeah,
at all. Like what
yeah,
do we? And I feel like they're going back and be like, hey, no, we're trying to make that work because
yeah.
somebody dropped the ball and somebody being
Never explained it. And we're like, why is he back?
exactly. And I feel like they could have been working that way, but someone gave Ryan Johnson a Star Wars movie, and he's like, you want to see me take a shit on a movie? And then he made Rise of Skywalker
Yeah,
because then the third one was nothing but trying to fix the complete clusterfuck of the middle one, and now they're literally trying to put stuff into the movies to actually make that, or into the shows to make the movie pay
to make
off.
movies make sense.
Oh yeah. So
I
to
was a little
answer your
confused
question,
at the end though, when he's getting his brain scrambled. One, I did like the callback, or it was a slight Easter egg. I feel like if I understood it, it wasn't that deep of an Easter egg, but the it's a trap.
Yeah.
When he says it very just, it's a trap. I'm like,
No, don't do it. It's a
I
trap.
feel like
Come
Captain
here.
America. I'm like, hey, I actually understood that one.
I got that reference.
But when she dials up and scrambles his brain, like fully just rewiring every circuit,
Mm-hmm.
is she getting rid of the only person that can and will and wants to continue the cloning process? Or is she flipping teams, double agenting?
What
Because I
was the
feel like
goal
she's
there?
evil. Do what?
Yeah, like what was the end game there? Because I feel like
They have the
if
same common goal, but
yeah,
now he's the only one that's wanting to do it. So she's gonna scramble his brain. But they had the same goal, and it seems like they want the same goal now. That's why
yeah,
I was kind of confused. Like, why would you scramble his brain?
yeah. Because if you look at it, you're like, okay, you assume she's still bad,
Yeah,
mostly because let's be
and she
honest.
gives off very good bad guy vibes.
Yes,
Like that's all
exactly.
she's throwing out there.
And softball player, and so the entire time you're like, okay, she's probably still pseudo empire. She's probably still, running for Moff Gideon or the
Double agent,
like.
yeah, trying to go get Moff Gideon out.
And then you found the guy that was literally working directly for him on the exact thing that they were trying to do, and you are already manipulating him to rebel against the New Republic to continue the stuff he's doing, all of which falls exactly in line with what you need. Yet you betray him, turn him in, and scramble his brain for what?
Yeah. Or was she just trying to get the mobile lab because she does take the mobile lab before when she turns on him.
Yeah.
But like, why would you not just go get the mobile lab yourself? So I don't
What's the
know.
point?
I was very confused by that just because I feel like they were on. She was convincing him, and then she betrayed him. I'm like, why are we just trying to get rid of this dude?
Yeah, what
That
was the
that was kind
point?
of what I didn't understand. Um, and I wonder how that's going to tie into Mandalorian when it seems like unless it's just some weird way of getting Moff Gideon back out, but with him in there, you still have the want to clone, and they know that that Grogu's got force capabilities, and that was a reason for cloning him was to create what was like a force something clone, like a
Mm-hmm.
force neutral clone or something like that. So basically, that you had like an invincible army of clones. That's really what they're trying to create by
Well,
cloning
they
him.
also made the shock troopers that Luke fought. They were force sensitive drones. That's how they knew he was there when he showed up. And they were,
They're like,
stopped beating down the door and turned around. It's like, oh shit, I hear the Joker.
yeah. So that was a little confusing. Curious to see how that pays off, and how those two storylines intertwine. Just because it doesn't seem like it would make sense for them to even connect at this point.
So
With having that be in the Mandalorian show and to get 90% of the longest episode.
years, yeah, that was kind of the annoying part. I was like, no, 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 get back to the pew pew.
Yeah,
This is
there's no
how I do a
Mandalorians in
show.
the Mandalorian show.
Like, I get there being no Boba Fett in the Boba Fett show because you're like, good God, get to anything else.
Yeah.
But
I
in the
did see that the
Mandalorian
next
show,
episode's only a half hour, where this one was like an hour 10.
yeah, this one was long.
Yeah. So the
Um,
next one is about half the length of what this one just was. But I'm assuming we're getting only Mandalorian in this next one. So
which they traditionally run about 30, sometimes 40 on a long one. So this one was like notably long.
yeah, because we got
And
an
again, it
Andor
was.
episode in the middle of Mandalorian.
Did you watch all of it? All of Andor?
I did. Yeah.
It's fine.
I liked it. I liked
Like
the
it was
prison escape.
good.
The end was kind of I guess it was I liked bits and pieces of it as it was happening. I do feel like it was really good, but also kind of forgettable unless
Yes.
they pick it up somewhere else along the way. It was
Like
just different.
in excuse me while I wind up for another kick. In Clone Wars, that whole show really dives into like, yes, it's a cartoon, but that whole show is actually driven by war politics. And when you're fighting all the like, you're in a war. This is how governments work in wars, and this is how intergalactic governments work in wars between ambassadors and all kinds of different things. And I felt like Andor was kind of like a back end of it. In fact, just listening to Fat Man Beyond, they were talking about Andor, and in an interview with one of the creators, they're like, "Hey, you remember in Clerks when they're sitting there just bullshitting, talking, and they kept asking how the Empire comes up with all that shit, who's building everything, like who's their team?" We literally took that idea and made a show out of it. And Kevin Smith, who actually hasn't watched Andor, was like, "Holy shit! Clerks reaches everything. Why I made 7 of them."
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was cool back in to see like this is what the Empire was doing and why it was so fucked up and how they were creating everything. Because you don't create an intergalactic empire without essentially enslaving a lot of people in some capacity.
Yeah.
So it was cool in that retrospect. And you got to see kind of like the aftermath with the amnesty thing of, hey, all you people that had to work for the empire, here's a program for you to get back in and you know get reassimilated to
Yeah.
your
It's basically what the
society.
new republic is. Everyone goes back. Everyone still rules what they ruled.
Yeah,
Pretend
exactly.
like that
Everyone
didn't
just
happen.
do whoops, sorry. uh but so you have all that. Here's my prediction of what's going to happen for them.
Okay.
They made references because you had all those imperial ships attacking Bo-Katan and Mando, so they made references to an imperial warlord.
Mm-hmm.
I think that Imperial Warlord will actually be, wait for it, because I just forgot his name. And it's going to tie into Ahsoka. It's who she's looking for. It's going to be. I cannot find his name.
Well, once you find his name, do you think this season of The Mandalorian is going to lead up into season 1 of Ahsoka?
Yes, like directly.
Gotcha.
Find it, but his name is Admiral Thrawn because I just fucking remembered. He's very blue.
It's a very blue man.
Yeah, he's very, very blue man. But he was the bad guy in Star Wars Rebels. Another very good show. Less seasons, easier to watch, but you'll see those characters pop up in Ahsoka. But I think this communications officer, Elia, whatever her name was,
Yeah.
G69, she is actually working for Grand Admiral Thrawn. And whatever she did with the scientist was in direct, you know, as a job for him to get him some sort of material or get rid of something loose end maybe, and
Yeah.
that's working towards them. Thrawn is the one that went after Mando, Dark Saber, Grogu, yada yada yada, which will bring in Ahsoka towards the end of the episode, and then that'll branch off straight into the Ahsoka show. How it ends for the Mandalorian group, no idea. Bo-Katan rides a giant dragon.
Yeah. I can see that. I could also see now. Do you think or know if this is the last season of Mandalorian we're going to get?
I have not heard.
So if it is the last season and we're going to go off and venture on to the other characters in the galaxy, if that's the case, then I think then the Mandalorian does end up ruling Mandalore. And they all go back to Mandalore and kind of take over the planet and from
Mhm.
the 1990s evil dinosaurs from the caves, and the mythosaurs all come back out, and Mandalore is Mandalore again. Um, how Bo-Katan fits into that? We'll see. Um,
How does
and then
she
we
get the
go on
dark
to
saber?
Ahsoka, and then Ahsoka's show takes off, and then we do other shows. If this is not the last episode, then I think Bo-Katan, she rules Mandalore. The armorer continues armoring,
Hmm.
and the Mandalorian or Din just takes off on his next adventure with or without, probably with Grogu. And we'll see another season of something we didn't expect, something we didn't know we are going to get, and it ends up being awesome anyways.
I I have not heard about this being the last season, and I don't expect it to. And they're supposed to be making a Boba Fett season 2. Do better.
I don't know where you can go with this character because then he
Yeah,
just kind of chilling at the
he's just
the
running his
Hut
place in
Palace.
Tatooine.
Yeah, unless you want to
Let's
bring
see.
back in Jabba or the Hutt family, that'd be kind of cool.
I mean, the Hutts always have a role to play in everything.
Yeah,
No surprise.
we haven't seen them in a while. Well, we haven't seen them in an important, impactful role in a while.
Well, Jabba's dead, but his family's the Hutts still run everything, and you saw him in Boba Fett. They
Yeah,
had him on the big platforms.
yeah.
See here. We had Andor, Tales of the Jedi. Did you watch Tales of the Jedi? Came out October, animated on Disney Plus.
Was that the one that had all the different
It
stories?
was little baby Ahsoka. It was kind of the
Oh
story
no,
of
I
Count
saw a couple
Dooku,
of them, but not all of them.
but good little
Yeah.
stories. I mean, it has Liam Neeson, so there's supposed to be a droid story about C-3PO and R2-D2,
Yeah.
ultimately BB-8. Star Wars: The Acolyte. Let me read off what this is supposed to be about. The Acolyte will delve further into Star Wars history than any other television series or movie before it. The show is set roughly a century before The Phantom Menace during the High Republic. We're finally getting a High Republic TV show. Very good. A time where the Sith were thought to be extinct. That's when all the Jedi were running around and there was peace and shit in the universe, in the galaxy.
Hmm.
So,
So it's going to be like the opposite of Order 66, where there's no Sith and a ton of Jedi in what is
yes.
considered to be peace.
Yeah. And hijinks will ensue and Mandalorians exist back then and there was all kinds of stuff
Yeah.
still going on. So, Ahsoka's coming, that
Yeah.
Skeleton Crew starring Jude Law.
Okay.
First line on this: if you're a fan of the Goonies and Stand By Me, the Skeleton Crew should be right up your hyperspace lane.
Is that going to be like a Bad Batch esque show?
It's kind
Because
of
Goonies and Stand By Me are for like small groups of people going off on an adventure.
it's a coming of age story. A group of kids attempt to find their way home.
And that's a show or a movie?
Appears to be a show.
Okay. Interesting.
And Jude Law. That's supposed to come out this year.
Hmm.
Lando, awesome.
He's
Donald
getting his own
Glover,
show?
yeah,
Oh, that's right. Young Lando.
he was the best part of that really mediocre movie.
Yeah.
Young Jedi Adventures. That looks like a cartoon. Mandalorian season 3.
It looks
Visions
like
volume
a
2.
cartoon centered around very little kids.
Yes. Visions, Star Wars Visions. Season 2 is supposed to come out.
Okay.
Season 1 was fine. There were some cool episodes in there. There was a lot of crap though. And then Bad Batch Season 2 already came out. And I haven't watched any of
Yeah.
those.
Has that fully come out? Saw a couple weeks, but they still had episodes coming out. So
yeah,
it's newly completely out.
I think they just finished up, but I haven't been able to watch any of them, so I need to knock those out. But yeah, there's our Star Wars. There's what we think is going to happen.
Yep. I'm gonna try to go back and finish all the cartoons. Yeah, it's a lot. I think that was probably like one of the biggest determinants. Is it was like 10 seasons, 30 episodes a piece. I'm like,
yeah, it's
300 episodes.
7 seasons total, and season 7's only like 8 episodes or so. The other 6 were like 20, 21 episodes a piece. I mean, all 20 minutes because it was on, Nickelodeon or whatever.
Yeah.
Disney. But it's a lot. I would say just jump in at like season 4. Just jump into the middle.
The background.
Just yes. While you're working, just have that on. It's the only way to do it. You don't even have to really pay attention until stuff starts happening. And then you'll find yourself kind of
putting the pieces together.
But if you commit to like, okay, I'm going to sit down and watch this now, you're going to blow your brains out.
Yeah. It's a big commitment. I might throw that on. Have some background noise while I'm working.
That's exactly how I got through it. That's the only way to get through it. So, all right. First one back. We did it. I have no idea how long this one was. I'm going to try and edit it and not screw it up. No promises there, but we'll see what happens.
Yep. I have it on pretty much everywhere you can listen to a podcast, however you want to listen to them, wherever you want to listen to them. And we're adding video since we're doing this remotely now and not together in person. We'll go back to drinking whiskey, I'm sure, very soon to add to these. We're going to be on YouTube. So you could, if you're I don't want to say a visual listener, because I don't think that makes sense. But
visual listener.
Yeah. If you like to watch instead of listen, I guess no. Yeah, you still have to listen. If you want to watch us on YouTube, we're going to be on YouTube. That's what I'm trying to say.
You like to watch what you hear.
All right. Well, one more back, one in the books. What's coming up next? We got NFL off season.
Mm-hmm.
All the movies. I think every week for the next week, or for the rest of this month, there's a new movie out. So Shazam is out this Friday. John Wick 4 is out next Friday. After that is Dungeons and Dragons. Or no, after that is Super Mario Brothers movie. And then after that is Dungeons and Dragons. Those are the next 4 Fridays. So I'm sure we'll have some movie reviews coming out. And then finishing up, I think we have 8 episodes of The Mandalorian. So we have 5 left. So 5 more episode reviews of The Mandalorian as well. Cool.
Awesome.
I would say we'd drink whiskey, hella hydrate, but we're not drinking whiskey, so
sip on whatever,
hydrate.
Whoever.
Yeah.
Till next time.
Till next time.
Hail Hydra.